This is Martin Motnick, StudioBasis.com, back in the studio this morning on this wonderful Monday morning, 10:30 a.m. Nashville time, and I got a song in that I need to record on. I was offered to record on. I should say it like that. It's always a pleasure and an honor. This time I was contacted through a website. It's called soundbetter.com. It's a platform where people can find musicians, actually quite noteworthy musicians, to collaborate with them on songs, and I'm on there too. So when you go on soundbetter.com and look for my name, I'll be there. And this is a song that I got from a gentleman. I don't even know where it's from. That's a good thing about a good or bad thing about the internet. You can go and work with people from all over the world. Sometimes you don't even know where they're from. And this is one of those cases. And but it's a really cool song. And I'm going to now first. I have the song already set up in my DAW, my audio recording software. Logic Pro is what I'm using, and already put the playback track in here. Right now, I'm creating a second track where I will be recording bass on, making sure it's all the settings are correct. It's a mono track. Yeah, input is correct. Everything. So, and here's a blank sheet of paper, on which I will first of all chart out the song, and in the Nashville number system. Nashville number system has the big advantage that you can just write down numbers in relation to the key, and you don't even need to know what key the song is in. You have to just know the relation of each chord or each note. And then later you can find out what key the song's actually in, and it makes it really easy also to transpose songs if you need to, and that's where the whole system came from. So basically, just really quick. If a song is in C major, then the C is the 1, D is the 2, 3 is the 4, 3 is the E, 4 is the F, and so on. So if you say, okay, it's a 1. And then it's a 4, then it's a 5. If you write that down in C, then you know, okay, it's a C, it's a F, it's a G. But if you need to transpose it, let's say, okay, can we transpose it up? Then it's in D. So then the D becomes the 1, the G becomes the 4, the A becomes the 5, and so on. So it's really easy. And that makes transcribing the songs for me very easy as well. So I can just listen to them, can make sure that the relations to each other are right, and then I can check, okay, what key is the song in, and then I actually know, okay, which notes to play. All right, enough talking. This is now a song that the song I'm going to be recording on. So first, let's start with the chart. So that's the intro. 3 bars played. Halftime. So that just repeats. machines. Okay, stop. 4 bars. Interesting last note. Okay, so we got this down. That's what the chart looks like right now. Now, I didn't go too much into detail when I charted this out because there are I already hear different variations that I can play on that. If I really follow the song or follow the guitar, or if I just, I assume it's in D. I don't have perfect pitch, so I have to, I always have to double check. But then I have pretty good relative pitch. First of all, if we have to tune, it gets a little cool in here in my studio sometimes, and so the instruments change their tuning when you just sit there because the wood works. And I can move this over here. So I'm using this Apollo X6 audio interface. Been having that for a couple of years now. Sounds amazing. And it comes with a bunch of plugins that actually run on the DSP, basically the internal chip of the audio interface, and so you don't have to. It's not taking up power off the computer. And so I use the Brainworks BX tuner that I got as an additional plugin on the Universal Audio platform, which was kind of upsetting because you could only get that tuner when you bought the Angle guitar amplifier simulations, which they sound good. I got them and I use them, especially when I write music for Accept. It's got some really good distorted guitar sounds, but it was kind of like, come on, let me buy the tuner separately. Anyway, Universal Audio, if you're listening, that'd be something you could do. Anyway, so we charted this out. And as I said, my assumption was that the song is in D. Let's hear it. That would be D. Oh, it's actually D flat. Okay. And that's probably a song that I should play with my pick. Let's turn the playback down a little bit so I can hear the bass better when I... Okay, so we know now that it's in D flat. And what I usually do is I just do a run-through recording, just also to kind of like make sure that the sound is good when I record, and then just to get a regular feel. And that's what we're just gonna do now. If I choose the right track to record on, it'd be even better. that smells funky. Okay, so there are different versions of variations I could play. Like for instance, the main riff that's going in the beginning, I could play just pedal it down, or I could double the guitar. Or I could play just follow the 4 on the floor on the bass drum. It's kind of like a feel thing, and you kind of have to make a decision sometime on your own. Or sometimes what I do, I record different variations and just send it to the client and just give him the alternatives and ask him or let him decide which one he likes, which might actually be what I'm doing on this song. So I guess what I'll do right now is I'm just going to play one variation where I just play it simply through, and then I do another take, an alternative where I follow the guitar a little more closer. So just first of all save, then let's listen into the track. Distorting a little bit on the outputs, I'm bringing up both tracks a little bit down, but I like the ratio to each other, and I like the bass sound, so I put a little bit of effects on it. What I do in the end, I always send the client a bass set, a sound, or a wave file, I should say, that has some effect on it. Usually I put some compression on it, some EQ, sometimes a little bit of amp simulation, and but then also, of course, send them just a raw DI track that the signal that I send from my bass into the audio interface straight into the recording program. So there is no, so they can do basically with the sound, with the bass sound, whatever he wants. But I like listening to it with some effects on it, because it just sounds a little bit more fun. Okay, so as I said, first take that we're gonna do is just plowing it through on a low D flat, and afterwards we're gonna record an alternative. All right, let's go. It's these notes. I actually played a mistake here. I think it's in my chart. I might have charted out wrong. But when it goes back into the original riff, I missed that. So let's see where that is. Oh, here it goes. Let's do this. Now we got it. Okay, we fixed that. Let's hear how the transition sounds. Good. So now we have the first alternative recorded. Clean up the beginning a little bit. That's the cool thing about Logic Audio is you can go and record a comp, which means you record on the same track, and if there's a note that you hear that you don't like, if you have a previous take on the same track, then you can just jump over and choose a different section. So now that we have variation 1 recorded, we're going to duplicate that track. So that's going to copy all the plugins and the sound onto a second identical track, and we're going to name this first track Bass Straight Through, and we're going to mute this one, and then we're going to have a second one. We call that Follow Guitar, and I'm going to try to catch everything. That's when it changes. I'm not sure if I have it memorized perfectly yet, but I'll try. Right, let's see. Save again. That's always my standard command. Save after Command S. After everything I do, basically, I press that so I don't lose anything. They have some auto-save functions built in, but I don't trust it. Okay, second version. Follow the guitar. How? And now I know it's wrong. I have one too many, so it's only 5. I remember the 3 spots that I played that would need some fixing. But what I like to do is usually I just do another run through one more time, so that way if I hear something that I didn't catch while I was playing, that I have something to jump to. So I'm not going to do much talking. I'm just going to do another variation or another take of the same approach, so to speak. All right, I made one mistake here. It was around bar 93. tiny one. When it gets into the lick, I missed that high B. Let's play that real quick. All right, and let's see how we're gonna fade this in and out. Okay, got that. Clean it up, front to back. And what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna bounce this track, send it over to the client, and then he can decide which ones he likes. And this was basically a recording session from top to bottom, writing the chart, doing a couple of run-throughs, doing a couple of fixings, and being done. So if you need bass tracks, studiobassist.com, hit me up. I'd love to play on your songs. Keep making music, keep rocking, turn on the bass. See ya.